This is Ute Insider Steve Bartle of KSLSports.com on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Steve Bartle, our Ute Insider, joins us. Steve, good morning.
Morning, fellas. How we doing?
Great, man. You got your own open now. You're big time.
Hey, you know, that's what we do when you join the big leagues here with you guys.
So we're seeing you, and I know you've seen this. We're seeing you getting mentioned on Twitter. That's the big time right there. Way to go, Bartle. You got Andy fired. Hope the next guy brings a better product Utah fans than, in quotes, deserve, closed quotes, period. The Utah pig bus. Look at you wading into the middle of it. You got him fired because Kyle's hanging on your every word. I mean, Steve, I don't want to break it to you, but I don't think Kyle's hanging on the words of anybody in the media.
Yeah, no, it's definitely PK. So, yeah, I mean, I know my place in all of this. And just, man, it's wild to just a crazy weekend. But, yeah, I guess I have arrived where it's not my fault that I willed that power. I did that. 100%. But, you know, just with the news, Andy Ludwig stepping down, you know, obviously all signs pointed to it, considering where we were in the season and just, you know, the lack of progress that had been made on that side of the ball. I think you could sense in that press conference after that game with Kyle Whittingham that, you know, he knew what changes need to be made. And it was, you know, his tone, his demeanor, everything just pointed to, you know, something like this coming. And, you know, it's an unfortunate end for for Ludwig and his tenure because he was great. He was great at Utah. You know, he arrived in 2019 and made an instant impact with Utah in this offense. Tyler Huntley had a Heisman campaign midway through the season that year because of how well he was playing under Ludwig. Just and then Zach Moss, you know, maximizing those two in that offense. The impact that he had was felt right away. And then, you know, 2021, 22, two of the greatest offenses that we've seen at Utah were among the best in all of college football. You know, to go from that to now this and having to step down from his duties, I think it was surprising. I don't think it's something that anybody had on their bingo card this season. Just a wild turn of events for you know, this Utah program.
You make a change, and you can't just do the same thing. You have to change, right? You've made the change at top. Now what are you going to do as far as actual changes in the offense? What do you expect?
Yeah, I expect Mike Bajakian to be elevated to play card. That's not official just yet, but that's you know, based on what I've heard, that's what I am expecting is Bajakian to be elevated from his offensive analyst role, where he's kind of served as quarterbacks coach since he joined the program back in March, and has actually developed a really good relationship with Isaac Wilson. I think that is, you know, it'll be interesting to talk with Kyle later today to get the reasonings as to why, but assuming that is, of course, the move. But I do believe that relationship with Isaac and just where, you know, he's at with his game, I think is where we're headed. And with Bajakian, I think it's important to understand that his entire career, he's served as quarterbacks coach. And so he's very familiar with the position. He's had success. He's had stints at Tennessee, Boston College. He came here from Northwestern, where, you know, if you understand the Big Ten and recruiting, you know that Northwestern isn't recruiting the sort of kids at the level they need to compete on a regular basis at the Big Ten, you know, in the Big Ten. So, you know, he's got plenty of experience, specifically with that quarterback position. And when you look at his offenses, I think it is more tailored to Isaac's skill set at the moment, where you could see it in that TCU game. When Utah started to go to more shotgun and more spread formation, it just seemed like Isaac found more of a rhythm. He was able to make some throws and piece some things together. And I think that is kind of the shift that we'll see is, with this being a mid-season change, you're not going to change the playbook. Bajakian isn't going to be installing his own playbook. It's going to be work from this same playbook. It's just you're getting a fresh set of eyes, a fresh set of play calling and decision making, and I think that is ultimately what's needed here. Is just a refresh, because we've seen there's plenty of things that work in this playbook, and I think it was just to the point where Ludwig became too predictable, and I think with Bajakian there's again just getting that renewed mind and somebody else to call the plays, I think will benefit Utah moving forward.
Well, that is the positive, best-case outlook going forward. But you've been watching Utah football for a while, and offensive struggles are not exactly new. You could probably pull out a story from a decade ago about offensive struggles and changing offensive coordinators. There's nothing new to this. How much of this is Cam's not playing and the true freshman is just overmatched right now, and this can get better next year, much as the way fortunes have changed at BYU over one offseason dramatically. But now it is what it is because they put all their chips on one guy, and for the third time in 5 years, he's had a season-ending injury. When he's healthy, they win the conference, but 3 times in 5 years, he hasn't been able to finish the season.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been things that you sort of take for granted, I think, has been turned upside down this season for Utah. And with Cam, it's unfortunate because you anticipated him being back. And when you have a player like him, obviously, you don't disregard everything else, on the team, but you are going to make more of a concerted effort to maximize him and his ability. And so it's now, it's unfortunate that his season has come to an end. With Isaac, there's things that he does well. There's things that he needs to improve. And I think with the move to Bajakian, it gives him somebody that's been working closely with him for, essentially since he's been here, and to build around him and that sort of thing. But there is certainly, the case where things don't go well and struggles continue. And I think it's important to keep in mind that, I don't anticipate Bajakian being promoted to this gig full time. This is just an interim type deal that I'm anticipating. And, in a lot of ways, this is sort of an audition for him. And, if things don't go well, Utah would not be, Utah could make a change after the season and look for a more, a more established offensive coordinator, and with the offense, the way that it's performed this season, they just need to find something to hang their hat on in the passing game. You know what to expect with the run game. They're gonna pound the rock. They need to get others involved in the run game because Mekhi Bernard is just, he's giving everything he's got, and you're starting to see that, that wear and tear is getting to him. They just need to find things to build on in the passing game, and I think there's been an inability to do that. And, and then, whatever happens the rest of these 5 games, you move into the offseason. If Bajakian comes the guy full time, he has that time with Wilson from this season that they can continue building forward. And if not, Kyle will certainly look for a new offensive coordinator, and that can provide a bit of a fresh start as well.
Who's in the pipeline high school quarterback-wise, and do you think they'd go after a college transfer?
Yeah, I do think they'll look to address the quarterback room through the transfer portal. They currently have Wyatt Becker committed, who's, he's a borderline 3-star, 4-star kid out of Sierra Canyon in California. He was just up here for a visit. And, this is a kid, he's got talent. He's got offers from a number of programs across the country. And, he's a kid that they're excited to bring in, but they've also, started to extend offers to other quarterbacks at the high school level. And I think there is a desire to bring in, perhaps 2 quarterbacks from the high school ranks and even, perhaps another transfer. I think it's important to keep in mind that, Sam Heward, he does have another year of eligibility, and with that time in the program, that should benefit him moving forward. But, yeah, I do think Utah looks to continue to add to that room moving forward into next season with, combination of high school recruiting and potentially transfer portal recruiting.
I think your point about needing a second running back is spot on, and I think a lot of Ute fans have noticed the same thing. And I thought this year that there was a decent chance Jalen Glover could be that player. He'd gotten some opportunity. Kyle had spoken well of him. He had some stats in a part-time role over 2 years. He's got 4 carries this season. He's vaporized. He has clearly fallen well out of favor. Do you have any idea why? Can you shed any light on his disappearance?
Yeah, I think – it's just an unfortunate situation. He's going through some things personally. I think that's sort of impacted his ability and his, I guess, consistency in practice. And he's got to go get through it, work through it, and just get back to the grind. And, Jalen is such a good kid. He's a kid that's come here and has just been so humble. He's worked hard. It's pretty interesting that he has fallen out of grace within that running back situation, because he's proven himself as a running back, right? You go back to last season, he came on strong, in those final games of the year, where you started to see those flashes, right? Where, okay, this is a guy that can, he can carry the bulk of the workload and can create some things. And so it's surprising, to say the least, that he's been non-existent since game 1. I think Utah genuinely needs to, revisit the situation with Glover and get him more involved, because he is a talent and can contribute to things here and provide, a different sort of, not necessarily a change of pace from Mekhi Bernard, but a running back that just brings a different flavor to the game. And I think, with the fact that he hasn't played, he's fresh. Obviously, he hasn't taken a toll. He should be good to go. He should be healthy. And I think where we're at, you need as many bodies as you can get at that running back position. So I think it's got to be something that Utah considers this week. It has to be something that, Whittingham, when he talked about fully evaluating this team and where they're at, some of the personnel decisions have to be at the top of that list for him this weekend.
Well, Steve, we appreciate the time. We would have had about 10 more seconds with you, but you had that glorious open, so that cost us a little bit of time there.
Hey, you know what? I worked hard for that open, okay? So
all right, well, I don't begrudge you that. I mean, I just lament.
I don't have no open.
I just lament that 10 seconds. It would have been awesome. But it was.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you, fellas.
All right, thank you, Steve. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Corrine Reed, Ute linebacker, joins us for his weekly visit next. Stay with us.